And Tupac's a legend. Like I said, Tupac wasn't born, he was sent to us. People were starting.
Furthermore, Tupac's a legend. Like I said, Tupac wasn't conceived. He was shipped off us individuals. We're beginning to say it's an East Coast, West Coast contention. 'Cause it was individuals simply attempting to bring in cash. It was valid individuals attempting to make vocations individuals, attempting to get renowned the stewing fight among Diddy and Suge Knight, an adventure saturated with debate and claims, has as of late been reignited with frightening new cases. This reverberation of antagonism can be followed back to the stunner charges made by Cassie in her claim against Diddy. Among the stunning disclosures is an especially chilling occurrence where Diddy drank by his contention with Knight, purportedly ready to send off an equipped trap Puffy. Done what Puffy did, or what Puffy do, isn't an unexpected. Anyone have at least some idea what it is hip bounce magnate. In the claim, Cassie strikingly portrays an episode that illuminates the hazardous limits of Diddy's fixation on Suge Knight. They are on one event when Mr. Combs and MZWBI Combs and Mas Bento were utilizing substances together in his home. One of his safety crew burst in and reported that Swan Sweet Dreams, Mick, a long-lasting opponent of Mr. Combs, was spotted at Mel's Drive-In Burger Joint in Los Angeles. The claim peruses think the weightiness of the circumstance is additionally highlighted by Cassie's response. She became unnerved and started to cry as Diddy, held by rage, furnished himself and hurried out to face Kian. That young lady went through some treacle that she never felt that she in the world might have to go through being in the music business. This supposed endeavor on Knight's life just fans a discharge that has been copying for a really long time. Tonight, an emotional acceleration of this getting through struggle has evened out serious allegations against Diddy. Fundamental to these claims is the case that Diddy put an amazing million dual abundance on the head of Tupac Shakur, at last prompting the hip jump legend's unfortunate death. Had previously gone after Orlando Anderson. They had to pass. The foundation of these allegations lies in the explanations made by Keth, a figure ensnared in Tupac's death. In a stunning turn, Key D has asserted that Diddy was the brains behind the hit on Tupac. This account was point by point in different sources, including Key's book, where he asserts, Diddy says, I have 2 or 3 issues. I should be taking care of huge Chief Suge Knight. And Pac. The plan was that Key D and his partners would get $1 million for completing the SS these years. After the fact, we at long last figure out that it was Orlando Anderson who pulled the trigger. Key D who gave him the firearm and set it up, and P. Diddy who paid them. Done anyway. The situation starts to get interesting as Key uncovers that the commitment installment never contacted him after Tupac got captured, killed Puffy, supposedly gave the cash, I heard, to Zip. Yet he never gave the cash to him. Key D unveiled disclosure not just involves theft in that frame of mind for higher plot, yet additionally recommends a firmly established treachery inside the criminal hidden world. This week claims gain further believability with Key D's declaration that even the FBI knew about the exchange. FBI said CIP was a filthy better believe it. So FBI, I let you know that Zip kept that cash too. He detailed these damning claims portray Diddy one that reaches out a long ways past the domains of music industry competition into the dim underside of criminal trick. He resurgence of allegations has righted their well-established quarrel, as well as constrained Suge Knight to approach with additional implicating explanations against Diddy. The story being woven is one of a tireless quarrel filled by dread and hostility, prompting drastic actions. These advancements have created a shaded area over Diddy's heritage, spoiling his picture with claims of brutality, trick, and a merciless journey for strength in the hip jump world. That to have the option to do that kind of to a lady and different ladies. Yet it's not new. The profundity of this fight turns out to be much more obvious while considering the verifiable Kant and Suji evenings. Contention traces all the way back to the mid-90s. established in the East Coast-West Coast rap war that unfortunately prompted the passings of Tupac Shakur and the infamous Biddy. It was a contention that shook the underpinnings of the hip bounce world. And presently, years after the fact, these new disclosures are creating a long dim shaded area over the tradition of both music tycoons. And Unroller spates the quarrel among Diddy and Suge, a story saturated with the records of hip bounce history, follows its foundations to the notorious East Coast-West Coast contention. This friction, significant of a bigger social and regional fight, saw Diddy's Terrible Kid records and the famous By-Face, Sub's Death Row records, and Tupac Shakur. The strain between these two music head honchos was a fight for hip bounce matchless quality, as well as a profoundly private feud-task relationship with Biggie, a vital figure in Diddy's camp, started as a fellowship. They performed together and upheld each other offstage as apparent in their coordinated effort on Tubbed Running. So, I mean, it was like Tom and Jerry. It was like you were unable to isolate these two. You understand what I'm talking about. This brotherhood, anyway, deteriorated into an unpleasant quarrel. The essential second came in 1994, when Tupac was shot multiple times in a Keep studio in Times. Tasked out that this shooting alongside the rape case he was entangled in was coordinated by Awful Kid Records, set up for his raising enmity towards Diddy and his partners. I wouldn't agree that things that I realize you understand what I mean I accept. So I truly do accept, so I have proof, things that I could say that will back up my case. Yet this conviction was not unwarranted. Tupac felt sold out by Big Deal and Puffy, his previous companions, who as per him deserted him and attempted to take his position. The shooting episode and Big Deal's resulting activities, which Tupac deciphered as mimicking his style and life, just filled the shoot OT. And his track Hit 'Em Up. Tupac transparently blamed Biggie for replicating him. Presently, everything revolves around versus you replicated my style. 5 shots couldn't drop me, I took it and grinned. I needed to settle on the decision of Big Deal. I said, we not going to answer. Someone will get injured. Assuming that we answer the fight took on a seaside aspect when Tupac, initially from East Harlem, met himself with the West Coast and Death Row Records. This shift was seen as a selling out by a larger number of people in his local East Coast people group. The competition increased with public denouncements and expressive assaults, solidifying the East Coast-West Coast partition in hip-hop. And that joint was cold. You understand what I'm talking about. I was paying attention to that. Diddy then again kept an alternate point of view in his appearance on Nord and DJ Fun's Beverage Champions digital recording. He reviewed his initial collaborations with Suge Knight. He would get me from the Remiss Air Terminal, the entire thing, Diddy said, demonstrating when their relationship was friendly. This changed emphatically after Suge Knight's notorious 1995 Source Grant discourse. All in the video, all on the record. Dan demise. While Sud freely maligned Diddy's style of the board, Diddy later guaranteed that Suge let him know he was truly alluding to Jermaine Dupri, not him anyway. The harm was finished, and the discourse is broadly viewed as a urgent second in heightening the East Coast-West Coast strain. Help that unfurled with the deaths of Tupac and Biggie. Craftsman key to Diddy and Suge's camps changed this fight into a dim part in hip jump history. And Tass, the rough finish of these two rap symbols not just denoted a sad misfortune for the music world, yet additionally highlighted the risky limits to which this contention had heightened. Consequently, the well-established quarrel among Diddy and Suge Knight, typified in the complex and frequently fierce history of the East Coast-West Coast contention, addresses something beyond a conflict between two music investors, represents a tempestuous period in hip-hop set apart by private disloyalties, social contentions, and the lamentable loss of its most brilliant stars, as the labyrinthic story of